2, 1, and miraculous, we are live. So, hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Whisky Friday 6. It's like Police
Whisky
Academy
Friday.
6. I'm the spirit of Chesty Pillar, and I'm joined by Sorry Ma and Tech Cyril. And I'm joined on my potato internet connection that's really terrible. But hey, who cares? How you guys been? How was your week? I'm drinking, so...
Yes.
I'm still on the coffee, so.
Lamini Zuma, old Chesty over there. That side. Oh, hell. That side.
This side.
He's drinking. You must want everyone to go and impimpi there. So there he is. Sort him out, Moss. You stupid woman.
Bring friends with lots of guns. You're gonna need it.
So Laurie is here, and she is probably drunk, right? She's drunk because
she has to be.
Well, she has to be A, right? Because it's Friday, and also B. She's been making more comments about ass dildos the whole week. Sorry, Maryke's mom. Okay, that's just Laurie for you. Okay, it's just one of those things. That's her thing.
It's one of those things.
Just puts it all over Facebook.
That's
right?
true. That is actually true. And I mean, this would not be Whisky Friday without Laurie. And then, of course, we've got the more civilized people in the comment section. But I mean,
they
always behave.
Who here is civilized?
Like maybe Henry and Jacobus and Charles. Charles is quite... Sliv is literally...
Is not civilized.
No, he's not really. I'm just trying to say that in case his fiancé is watching. And I'm trying to close the door before it bangs. That's the only thing that bangs.
That's what
on
she
Whisky
said.
Friday. That's what she said. and Sliv is here. Sliv, who I always pin to the very top of my videos because he usually gives very good legal perspective on stuff. He's a true barrack room lawyer. In fact, he's so barrack room that nobody knows who he is. He hides. He lives in the ceiling of the barracks and dispenses wisdom from there. So that's Sliv.
You mean wisdom from above?
I get
Does
wisdom
he do
from
it
above.
in James Earl Jones's voice?
This is CNN, possibly.
This is not fucking CNN. No, we have standards here, right? On Paratus and Whisky Fridays, we have standards. We might talk a whole lot of shit, but we don't lie, and CNN does.
This is true.
And
this is true.
Stop rolling your eyes at me.
And just to quickly get my rant in, because I did a few of those this week. Like I keep getting people come to me and being like, "You just want. It's selfish of you to." Oh, we lost Maryke. Okay, she's going to be back hopefully soon.
Her mom came in and yanked her out the studio. Yes,
no, so it's like, okay, we want to go back to work. That's selfish of us because we just want, okay, Maryke's back. Hang on. Let me just put it back. Sorry, Ma, but now I have to take you away, Bryan. Hang on.
No.
Bryan leaves. Bryan comes back. There we go.
Now in the middle. It's my new age.
I must be the prime piece of patty between the moldy bread.
Yeah, according to Ramon, this is the formula that works. I'm far left, Maryke is the patty, and Bryan is Bryan. So here's the part that gets to me. Going back to work is evil. Going back to work and wanting to earn money to keep over your head is now like an issue for some people. Because we just want to choose money over the economy. I'm like, bitch, listen, there are kids in the Eastern Cape eating like wild vegetation to stay alive. That's pretty crazy. I mean, that's like third world Africa stuff right there to the extreme amount. So I saw the article you posted.
It was horrific. I mean, whoever does follow me on Facebook, and I might just go and pop it in the Parada space, right, is go and read that. I mean, think about this. These are our kids. They're going to school, and on the way out of school, they're doing foraging, right? Well, they're not even going to school, right? But I mean, these kids, in order to keep their stomachs full, they're eating weeds. Granted, edible weeds, but that's what they're doing. Listen, I don't know if a whole lot of people who tuned into this have actually been super hungry, and I know it doesn't look like it now. But I've been super hungry in my life. I have a real empathy for those poor kids. And, the irony of everything is this is one man's fault. Well, one man and a bunch of idiots, but, it's Cyril's fault, ultimately.
Yep.
He is the one who made those kids hungry.
No, pretty much.
See how I hijack your rant there.
Hey, well, look, it's not as if we haven't been in the longest sustained economic downturn since the end of World War II prior to him just putting the blade into what was left. So, yeah. And that just gets me angry that people who are like trust fund babies or whatever you want to call them are pontificating to the rest of us. Now, you shouldn't want to go back to work and just wear the mask, bigot. Now, I'm like, well, the mask thing is also to me a stupid debate to have. But ultimately, the reason why I don't want to wear a mask is because I've had enough of people telling me what to do. That's why. I don't even have an intelligent argument for it. I don't feel like I need one. I'm just the nasty guy in the corner that screams obscenities and threatens people now, because that's what I've become. And
that used to be Maryke. You've gotten worse than her.
Well, she's been very quiet.
Screaming obscenities.
You do this. Listen, don't anyone believe her off camera, right? When we're not live, she screams and rants, and that's, and here she sits like an angel because her mom's watching.
I'm my brother.
It's a real family
and
gathering.
Your brother. Yeah, well, he would know. He would know. This is not a family-friendly show, and you make up for that off camera.
She does. So there's some good news for you crazy kids who want to buy my merchandise. So the caps are on their way. I'll have them within over the weekend or next week. The hoodies are being made. Jacobus is pleading the 5th while I'm saying this. And there's a whole bunch of other cool stuff that's going to happen. So if you wanted Piratus merchandise, you will get it soon. Very soon. And thank you. Listen, just to everyone watching, everyone that sent us stuff via SnapScan and Zapper, buy a donkey. It's hugely appreciated. I'm going to have to make a separate thank you video for that. Maryke used to send us a lot of money, but now she's a part of the show, so she can't be doing that anymore. So donkey Maryke.
The funds get split 3 ways.
It gets split 3 ways.
Oh, really? Do they? I don't know. So was the whiskey, and I saw none of that.
Yeah, I drank Bryan's whiskey in front of him. Well, not directly. There was some separation, several hundred kilometers at the time, but it was the thought that counts, Bryan.
Well, put it this way, my friend. If there wasn't that separation, you wouldn't have been drinking it in front of me. You would have been watching me drink it in front of you.
Probably would. There would have been it wouldn't have been so asymmetric. So we had this whole topic of discussion about shotguns for home defense, whatever, and then we just went off on rants. So which one of you two wants to kick off? Maryke, cool. Do you want to start?
Let me do that. Okay, you go, Maryke, because I'm ever the gentleman.
No, let's stick with the guns. But if you don't want to do the shotgun, I am going to ask for advice. I mean, you can wait now.
Okay.
I'm in the market for a new handgun, specific for metallic silhouette shooting. So I don't really care about concealed carry and those things. It's basically at the moment between a Beretta and a CZ Shadow.
Well, right. So I think that kind of depends on your budget, right? Because on Beretta is typically a little bit cheaper than the CZ Shadows.
Yes, but
then again, the CZ Shadows is okay. Well, if then that's the case, then what? The CZ Shadow is one of the best sporting handguns ever made. So this is for sporting purposes. I would say that the CZ Shadow would be the way to go, in my humble opinion. Not that I know anything about metallic silhouette shooting at all, aside from what you've told me. And I was so drunk.
The motivation will be for silhouette shooting, but you can never have too many guns. So I also want a handgun with ammo that is more readily available than a 40 Smith & Wesson. For in case the boogaloo happens, I've got something. So it must be boogaloo friendly and sports shooting friendly.
I don't want to be the person who goes and throws trite movie quotes at you. When the boogaloo happens, there's going to be plenty of guns lying around. Trust me on that one. Okay.
The reason why
time you're going to worry about it.
I'm putting Cole van Ryan's comment up about the Canik TP9 Elite Combat because Spectre, which is Stefan and Maggie, seconded. They reckon the Canik is definitely worth a look then. So I would also
forgot about the Canik because you didn't mention it. And Jedweer is also another one. It's good. It's good. And I think you might actually be really pleased on the price point on that one. Quality, right up there, tip-top stuff. And I didn't think about that. Why did I not think about it?
Let me see if I can bring the Canik TP9 up. It's a sweet looking shooter, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really, really sweet looking.
So here's the thing. Sorry, Maryke. This is a Turkish-made pistol, but it's a seriously well-made pistol. Can
I call it Turkish Delight?
You can. You know what? I'm pretty sure that in your hands you can get to call it whatever you want to. Especially if you're going to wear that slutty Jedi outfit of yours and you have the lightsaber in the one hand and the Canik going in the other one. No one's going to argue. No one's going to mind. Sorry, Mom.
So uncivilized.
So I would say go look at the Canik and compare to the Shadow or Shadow 2 because the CZ Shadow is just a really good. But again, from Stefan, not just the TP9 line, they have a shameless copy of the CZ Shadow as well.
You know what? Here's the thing, right? So is it shameless? And it was where you were going, and I know I'm not taking over from you. But is it really shameless? If you look at the whole the most sincerest form of flattery is when you do copy something. Ultimately, the CZ Shadow, which is what in itself a copy of the 75, right? It is, isn't it?
It is. No, it is. It's not a copy. It's a
progression.
How should I put it? An evolution of the 75. Yeah.
Okay. You look at that as probably being a fundamental frame in terms of handguns. And the design of handguns, right? So, I mean, come on, look at it. There's a whole bunch more copies of the CZ, right? I mean, IMI does a whole bunch of copies of the CZ. I mean, you look closely enough at most pistols and you're going to find a copy of the 75 in there.
Yeah, this is true.
Carl. Hello, Carl. Oh, sorry, I got to tell you about Carl van Lith. Carl is an awesome guy. If you're on Eisner and you want like super nice woodwork done, go and chat with him. But he's a great guy. He's also a tech fit and circular strength training instructor. I trained with him for a long time. He was also a great kung fu instructor as well. Great guy. Anyway, sorry about that. I interrupted Maryke, and she's now really rolling her eyes.
No, I am done. Thank you for the options and the advice. I will have a look at them.
Okay, cool. So who says we don't do useful advice on the show?
But we're going to have lots of useful advice today. Here's a great bit of useful advice. Whenever you go past Cyril Ramaphosa, do this. Because fuck you, Cyril. There's useful advice.
That's excellent advice. That's excellent advice. And on that bombshell, that story about the shooting in Durban yesterday, where the robbers took an Uber to the guy's house, and he nailed them with a 10mm auto. I've always.
What was the words from the scene? He made jelly.
Yeah, he was jelly. The dead assailant, there was at least 3 of them. He was jelly, and the other 2 left a blood trail. And I mean, this is a guy like the defender put 5 shots of Norma 10mm auto into his chest. That's just, oh God, that's poetic. If this channel and this brand makes me enough money to pay my bills and be able to afford buying guns again one day, because I don't think we'll be flying soon, a 10mm auto is on my list because I want one. I've always wanted one. They are gorgeous. Goodness, there's just something about them. There's just something about a 10mm.
Absolutely.
And it was an elderly guy as well. He gave no fucks. He just wasted all of them. Just, oh, you came to my house. You shit out of luck. Here, say hello to what was the Glock 20? Yes, it must have been loud. It must have been so loud.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, that's exactly the right mindset. Is come on in. I'm quite happy to make my transition to Valhalla, but I'm fucking taking some people with me.
He did.
And he didn't even kiss off.
It's an incredible story. It's like, it's now one of my favorite stories this week because, and to be honest, that's just for the audience who may not be familiar with 10mm autos. Like the size of the Glock 20 compared to a Glock 17, it's not really that much a bigger pistol. It really isn't. And I've shot Azizas. God, they're nice. Yo, they really, really shoot nice. They are. There's nothing viscerally horrible about them at all. It handles the cartridge size beautifully. Maryke, your baby Deagle is what, 44 mag?
40 Smith and Wesson.
Oh, 40 Smith. Sorry, okay.
I was the one who was drunk, and he can't remember this. What's up with that? Maryke, geef hom 'n klap agter die kop.
Wait. You can outsource the slap. Hang on. Just give me a slap behind the head quickly, Bryan says.
Oh, he's do it.
There we go. She can't hear you.
Oh, well. Okay, so Linda van Rooyen wants to know, I work in an operating theater, so I need a firearm that's not too big or too heavy to carry around. Any suggestion? Glock 43. Glock 43X or Glock 48?
Can we quickly talk about the 43? Because
let's talk lots about the 43.
The significant other got one. She's about to buy one. She ordered it. But she went for the 43X. Reason why? Okay, let's talk about reason why. They're essentially the same gun. The only difference is the 43X has a longer grip. What the longer grip means is you've got a bigger magazine, slightly higher capacity. The difference in capacity is the Glock 43 takes 6 in the mag. So if you carry one up like you should, you have a capacity of 7 before being forced to reload. Whereas the Glock 43X has a capacity of 10, so you get 11 out of it. And for a lot of people, that additional 4 rounds it does make a big difference. It's actually a huge capacity difference. And it's a nice slim single stack magazine. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of a Smith & Wesson Shield. I'm a huge fan of the 43X. I think that is a great slim solution to somebody.
Can I, Maryke, did you want to add something to that one? Or are you just ignoring us completely? Okay.
No. I don't know that much about handguns, off the top of my head, but it is a personal preference. So you cannot just buy a gun online. You are actually going to have to go to a gun store, see how it fits in your hand, see if you can actually, cock it and reload it and shoot it. If it's got a bit of a nasty bite, you might want to look at something else. So it's up to you.
Okay, I'll differ with you a little bit about the whole if it's comfortable, it's yours thing. Okay.
Well, if you've got tiny hands, you cannot. I've got big hands, rather big hands. If you've got tiny fingers, small fingers,
Maryke
going
has
for
a point.
Colt 45 is not practical.
Actually, the 1911 is going to be more practical if you have the shorter hands. But let's not go there, right? So single stack is pretty much going to result. No, well, you just know.
Because it's because it's a single stack. That's the reason. Because it doesn't have a thick frame. Yeah, but you weren't
that's
making
what she said.
Brian. That's what she said.
So coming back, so the 43X, right? You'll remember when I carried my wife's 43, we had a dual license for all the Corins or the Biancas, whatever their names are now. Okay. Right, I put on those Larry Vickers extensions onto all the magazines, right? Because it made it easier, right? And this is where it made it easier. Not the carrying part, which is somewhat important, but it was when I went to go and train with that, having that slightly longer grip to it made it a more trainable gun. And that resolved a whole lot of there was a little bit of a sharper kick because of the shorter barrel and all those sort of things. Having that little bit more leverage with your pinky down here made it just spot on perfect. The mag changes, everything worked better with just that little bit more purchase.
And that's I'm going to come to Honest van Rensburg's comment now, but
yes,
just to support Maryke's thing, and this is something that always grated me, is there was this culture they say that, oh, how the gun feels in your hand doesn't matter. It actually fucking does, because no. Let's unpack this. It's not just about comfort. Okay. It's also about control, manipulation, and functionality. That's actually primarily what that focuses on. Okay, because if you can't effectively manipulate the controls because of your hand size or finger length, you're going to get hung up on them, and that's going to really negatively affect your ability to shoot that gun the way you're supposed to. So I've seen women with small hands. Okay, now let me just quickly finish this. I'm going to be, and then you guys have the floor. Small hands, short fingers, can't shoot the Glock 19. And even the other more subcompact double stack ones, because it's not the physical size that's the problem. It's the width. The width is an issue. So they can't get proper trigger manipulation or trigger control because of the breadth of the gun. Whereas the slimmer ones, like a 43, 42, 43X, the Smith & Wesson M&P Sport, which are all single stacks, including the Colt 1911, which is the single stack, actually gives you better is actually better for people with smaller hands because of the fact that it's thinner. So you're doing more with it, if that makes
all
any
of which
sense.
is true. All of which is true. But based purely on that logic, someone could walk into the shop, pick up a Beretta Model 71 in 22 long rifle and say, this is the gun for me. It feels good in your hand. It really does, right? I love shooting them. They're great shooting little guns. That's not what I meant, right? You can't just say, oh, no, walk into the gun shop and the one that feels comfortable is the one for you, right? It's the one that you are going to be able to put into an ergonomic place in your lifestyle. It must be comfortable to shoot. It must be comfortable to carry. It must have a workable caliber. But most of all, it's got to be reliable. Reliable, like, you know, out of all of the factors in defensive firearm, that issue of reliability is the most important, certainly as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just going to share a screen quickly because of Lucy Lockett, who wants us to show the guns we're talking about. Let me just quickly get a picture of the of my entire screen. Why not? I don't have any porn open, so there we go. That's not the one we want. There we go. There's the Glock 43X on the left and the 43 on the right. So they are equally long and equally wide. The only difference is the length of the grip on both sides. Does that make any sense, guys? Okay, so that's the Glock 43. The Smith & let me just remove Satan. There we go. Maryke is very quiet because we don't give her time to talk. So, sorry, this that's me. I'm done.
So, well, I want to make a few things because there are a couple of comments that I can see, like Paul saying I must go pew 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 many times and all of that. And Paul, let's put a pin in the capacity component. We can come back into that because it's important. It's not the only important because, you know, again, you can have a Glock 17 and if you're not going to carry it every day and if you're not going to train it, doesn't matter how many times it goes pew 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 pew. Okay. But let's just come back to a couple of other options that were put up on the screen, and someone was saying a SEG something or other, and someone said the Beretta PX4 and all of those. And listen, all of those all of those are good guns, right?
Yeah.
Why do I always go to Glock? Because you name me one brand that beats Glock for service support in this country. Name me a brand.
Can't.
Right? You can't. Glock is the king of service. Their primary agent, Bernard agencies, are awesome. They are outstanding. Their retailers, people like CHS Guns, I think she's a diamond or whatever their classification. She's right up there. It's superb. Seriously. Glock's backup support cannot be beaten. Not in the firearms industry.
Ruth says hi to Maryke, who you and I have just been talking over all day. But in short, we're getting Maryke a pistol for silhouette shooting. Have you Googled the Canic yet? the Canik range?
Briefly, when I'm home, I will go and look at that in more detail.
Where can we get Maryke? Well, not where can Maryke get a Canik? Because I can't. I don't think the show can buy ourselves guns yet, but soon.
So, well, Stefan or Maggie or Jedveer need to pipe up on that one. They're the ones who have the understanding on the Canik.
Even better, I'm just going to give Maryke their numbers, and then she's got a direct
Can we put
line.
it on the internet? Stefan will love us.
Okay, so
sorry, Paul.
Bryan, you and shotguns.
Yes.
Shotguns for house defense.
Well, here's the thing. So it kind of ties into Paul. He and I were having a message exchange. This is Paul Hart for everyone who wants to know, right? So Paul was talking about
Aisha might have Canik soon, or else Sievel, Selwells, and Stanger. There you go. But we'll put Maryke. Maryke is already a customer of Aisha anyway, so we're good.
Yes. And get from Aisha. Remember,
Smash
CHS
that
Guns
like
in
button.
Somerset West, ask for Aisha. Okay. Anywho, coming back to
Shotguns.
Shotguns. Right. So Paul was chatting about a magazine-fed Mossberg pump action. I think it was the
yes.
Paul can put up the number again. I can't remember the model. Right. And then we had another conversation he was interested in. And I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of school here, Paul. So bet you're never going to send me messages again. But then he was looking at a 308 self-loading rifle, okay, which in essence the best option in South Africa for that would be an FN, right? A FEL. Okay, cool, thanks. And my discussion with him was that is really, really dependent on your set of circumstances, okay? Because in certain cases, I mean, I'm the one who glibly said, yeah, shotgun's the best platform for home defense. And for me it is, right? For me it is
because
for a whole bunch of
shotguns.
reasons. I love shotguns. I really
love
do.
Shotguns. You love shotguns more, perhaps, than you love your children, although you may not admit that on there.
Well, I can't admit that on air because my wife will kick my ass, and she does. No, so coming back to this, the whole shotgun thing, right? Why do I love it? A, it's simple, right? A pump action shotgun is, I'm not going to say it's easy to operate, but it's simple to operate.
If it jams, pump it harder.
Well, that's you. And, yeah, okay. Anyway, met te veel krag breek jou vinger en jou poepel ook af, né? Okay, so coming back to this, it's super reliable in a general sense. If you feed it and treat it well, it's going to do the same to you. Okay, it has options when it comes to ammo, and I got a couple of people who made comments. Oh, you like it because the sound of the slide racking scares anyone. No, that's stupid bullshit. Okay, the thing that scares the shotgun is the fucking war face behind it and the sound of the shot, not the slide. Okay, but seriously, for me, it's a super reliable, very adaptable, easy to use platform. Also, I don't really shoot that well with the rifle. It's certainly not. Well, probably for a lack of practice. I shoot fairly well with the bolt action, but with the semi-automatic rifles, I'm okay at best. I'm very confident with the Mossberg. If you're living in a really rural area and you're going to take those, or you're anticipating a longer engagement range, that's going to be the rifle. The rifle's going to be your better choice. For me, sorry, okay, I'm waffling now. You go ahead. I'll come back.
I was about to say, for rural areas, well, let's say you want something for home defense, short engagement ranges, but you also want to reach out and touch somebody because they're reaching out trying to touch you inappropriately, like Joe Biden. On your studio. What I would say is like not an ideal, but a very cost effective is you get some really, really reasonably priced AKs of all sorts. You get the Bulgarian ones, the Hungarian ones, and then of course you get the Type 56, the Chinese ones, which are like 8 or 9K plus that 4 magazines included. regardless of how fucked that thing's barrel is, eventually, if your engagement range is home defense, it's gonna be fine. If your engagement range is 200 meters, it's gonna be fine. It's got minute of man. It is a cheap solution to a practical problem. If you're not a shotgun type of guy and you want the reach, go for it.
It's a cheaper solution, but here in South Africa, the offset is the ammo is not quite as cheap unless you're really into reloading. So if you buy an AK, and you should, it is a great platform. It's so much fun to shoot.
Maryke should get an AK for silhouette.
Yeah. No. There's a little bit
for fun.
a little bit more precision, right? A VZ58, not an AK. Check striker-fired rifle.
If you want an AK, you can use your silhouette shooting for a motivation. You don't ever have to take it to a silhouette range and shoot it.
No, but if you actually do want to shoot it, the VZ is probably going to be the better option for you.
Yeah, the VZ is a better rifle.
It's a better rifle. It's a better rifle.
And but it has the same spirit as an AK in a way. You can see it's got that that potato alcohol drinking sort of winter warfare thing going for it. I don't know how else to put it. That's the best I've got.
It's a peasant's gun, right? And on Paratus, we love peasant's guns.
We love peasant guns because we're peasants. Yes. Well, you and I are peasants.
Well, we are definitely. Well, not Maryke.
She's a slutty Jedi. We're the peasants.
Definitely. And I'll wear that moniker with pride.
We are your. So now that we've waffled on enough, Maryke, how about you take us to the next topic? Because I'm busy drinking. I'm the only one drinking alcohol out of all three of us, which is horrible.
My week ended off terribly when I got the news today that Nestle is discontinuing a lot of chocolates.
I saw, and I like most of the ones they're canning.
Yesterday it was the chocolate log. Well, the chocolate log one was in the process of being discontinued. I read the article like 3 days ago, and today somebody sent a photo around of a notice in Spar where they are discontinuing Bar One peanut butter or Bar One peanuts and the Milo and the Crunch and Quality Street and Peppermint Crisp.
Crunch
and
is
chocolate
like
log.
A no-go for me. Like how?
No more Milo bar.
No more Milo, no more Peppermint Crisp.
No more Milo.
No more Quality Street. I don't care about chocolate log. Never liked it. But so I went on to Take a Lot and panic bought 40 packets of chocolate.
I wish I panic bought whiskey, but
I did.
I wish I panic bought whiskey.
My order was cancelled.
This is just touching me on my studio tonight. He's like, good riddance to chocolate log. I'm like, no.
I'm not going to miss that.
I'm very fond of it. Well, it's shooting ball bearings through a shotgun is a spectacularly bad idea. It works until it doesn't, and then you have a useless barrel.
Yes, that is very true.
Right. No, don't do that, I guess.
Shoot shotgun ammo through it, right? Listen, for the chap who's going on about the ball bearings and all of that, trust me when I tell you that the 12-gauge ammo, that does plenty damage. It really does. Right.
Especially there's locally manufactured slugs now that are quite worse.
Yeah. But even the baton rounds, right? Don't ever call them non-lethal.
We're not going to go down the dogging road.
Someone else went down that road, yeah. So what can we make you Google today?
No, nothing. Linda says, any product that produces excessive waste or manpower is coming to you. And chocolate logs is only one of a few, including Milo bar. Yeah, we've just gotten a horrible fucking... How does it take more manpower to make a chocolate log? Let's not answer that question directly.
Why would it take more manpower to make a chocolate log than it would or a Milo bar than it would to make any other form of chocolate? Right? I don't get it.
I presume a lot of them are automatically wrapped, or they have to be.
I'm presuming all of them are automatically wrapped. right? If you look at the thing, it's certainly not fucking hand wrapped, is it?
Sorry, Rainier
No, I
just
don't think
drove
so.
past my house.
Did he?
No, he didn't really. No,
Is
that
his
was just
number
someone
plate
else in the
still on
Mustang.
you?
No, this car had a number plate on perfectly correct, so it was definitely not Rainier.
Definitely not Uber Geek.
No, have I ever heard of Smurf porn? No, and I hope I never ever experience it. There is a website for Rule 43. It is Rule 43, right? Internet
34?
Rule 43.
43.
34. Rule 34. Sorry, you see, I'm mixing my numbers up. That's the whiskey talking. Yeah, Rule 34.
Is this how we usually sound, Maryke?
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
Anyway.
Gideon is hiding it actually very well. I mean, he's not slurring like Germ slurs
He's
when
gritting
he's
his
drunk.
teeth.
Oh God. Okay, don't Google Smurf porn. Don't do that. Just don't ever do that. Thanks, Paul.
Oh, we did it again.
I couldn't
Well done,
resist.
Paul,
I was curious and I needed to see, and now I can't ever not see it ever again. Thank you. That was wonderful. Don't do that. What's this one that Ruth asked on our stream? We discussed it. Why can't they give
That's
us a
about
warning?
the chocolates. Yeah.
No, it's about the
okay,
Smurf
not about
porn.
the Smurf porn.
Somebody on my other Telegrams group asked the contact in Nestle, and the Nestle contact confirmed it.
That's just terrible.
So
You know-
Rick is going over to CHS Guns tomorrow for his first time. Way to go. Pop your cherry, Rick. Awesome stuff. He's going to go and do the Stop the Bleed course with Walt from Wild Medics.
Excellent.
It's
Walt's
an awesome
good people.
course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you haven't done it, go and do that course. It is seriously good. I send my kids on it all the time. He still doesn't want to freaking put a tourniquet around their neck, but I keep on sending him.
You know what the cool thing about the neck tourniquet is it is the last thing you'll ever have to worry about. Quite literally.
Who cares how it comes off?
No, it doesn't. No one, you don't care. Like no one, and no one else will either, except maybe the coroner. So it's a beautiful solution to a problem. You know, if your problem is being alive, which for me it's a problem because I seem to suck at this living business. Buy my caps and hoodies, please. Thank you.
Talking about living.
No,
Yes.
Yes, caps and
living is
hoodies.
easy. The government's making it hard, difficult.
And talking about that awesome segue of the government and making living difficult, right? So, Department of Health are making themselves a little bit of a nana down in the Western Cape, aren't they?
Old Alan. Now here's the problem.
No.
okay?
Let's
Cape
talk about
independence
Alan.
must happen. Cape independence
Yes.
must happen for several reasons.
Yes.
A great
Then
many, they're
Maryke
all
needs
good.
a
But
passport to come and visit us.
no, but we'll just organize her automatic citizenship.
I will
but-
move. I will pack up everything I have here and move to the Cape if the Cape secedes.
So I've been getting some questions from pretty serious high profile people about, but is it economically viable? I'm like, okay, firstly, why are you asking me and not a real economist? And two, yes, it is economically viable, hugely so for several reasons. One, we have a lot of wealth, we can attract a lot of wealth, and we'll instantly get a fuck ton of investment if we become independent. And number two, the Western Cape literally subsidizes the Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, and a whole bunch of other failed provinces with our own productivity, and all that money and wealth will then be retained in the Western Cape. So from at least two angles, automatically, it is totally workable. But that's not the point. The point is Alan Windy is a bit of a fucking moron, isn't he? Just a tiny bit, maybe slightly more.
Well, yes, he is, right? But in this very specific case, he isn't. Okay, so I was doing a little bit of reading around medical capacity, right? What with COVID-19 and that kind of being my job and all of that sort of stuff.
So he's not an idiot. He's actually okay on this one.
No, he said something. He said something sensible. Listen, I have a broken ass clock that's right twice a day. Okay.
No, but I'm curious now. Let's hoy. I want to hear the story.
So let's hoy. You have some awesome background there, Gideon. Tell them we say hi behind the window.
Ryan says hi. You can see in the reflection. Yeah.
Give him another slap. Okay.
No. I'm going to get more slaps later.
Let's not go down that route. Let's go and unpack what Alan Windy said before we talk about your kinkiness. Now, Rick's probably tuning in about now. Okay, so coming back to Rick. So he put out actually a fairly good set of statistics about how the health system in the Western Cape is not battling right now. The most occupied hospital is at 94%, and the rest are the next highest is at 76%, and they're kind of like in the mid 70s type of range.
Is this the one you want to talk about?
No, we'll come to that one just now. Okay, we'll leave that up there. Right. So what this was I took from their Microsoft the Power BI tool, their daily cases in the Western Cape. Now I know it's a little bit of a line, and I should have probably done it in a column on retrospect. But if you can see there, those are the cases that we record in the Western Cape every day, and has been for just over the past 2 weeks now. That trend is going down and going down fairly quickly and fairly significantly. And now we can stop sharing that.
Yep.
Right?
Can I stop sharing it? Okay, cool.
You can stop sharing that. Okay.
There we go.
So if you think about the overall situation, the Western Cape's past its peak. Based on their new daily cases, they're managing extremely well.
By the way, Clinton is proving on Maryke
today. Yes.
No, it's the same camera, different place, and the 4G here is better than the 4G at home.
But anywho, so coming back to the sort of counterfoil for all of Alan Windy's good news about the Western Cape health system, right? I go and read this little narration by an intern, Dr. Intern. You help me out with the terms here, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'll do my best.
Right, at Groote, who is telling us her heartfelt story about how hard she has to work the 8 hours of every shift that she needs to work. And then she has to go and get dressed in PPE every single day. And that she can't take her shoes that she wears at the hospital inside her house. So she had to sacrifice a pair of shoes. She calls them her Corona shoes. And she has to put her phone and her pen and her bottle of water in a plastic bag. And she only gets time for 1 cup of coffee and a gulp of water every day. And I read this little blog, this little soliloquy that this young lady has put down. And I thought, you shouldn't have become a doctor. I'm sorry. What you're describing now, my sister's a nurse. I know plenty of nurses and doctors, right? I've been around the emergency wards for a long time, all right? What you're describing now is your average day at hospital. It really is, okay? Yes, you're going to have to sign death certificates and give death notifications. 1,749 people die every day in this country, right? That's a lot of death certificates and death notifications. Your 1 or 2 is not a big deal. And seriously, it's this entire hyperbole, these little heartfelt emotive squeaks. That's the reason why Cyril stops booze and puts in place curfews and shit like that. Because that's all he can freaking hear. He doesn't want to look at the truth, the facts and figures. Okay, you go.
Let's make it worse, right? So when my missus was still doing internship and community service at Helderberg Hospital, which was a fairly good hospital, okay, compared to the
53%
shitstorms of Kalafong and Tembisa and a whole bunch of other ones, she pulled 24, 36 and like 40-something hour shifts where I didn't see her for days on end. I had to wait for her in the parking lot for hours just to give her like a hug and see her for 15 minutes and bring her food because they work these doctors fucking to death on the normal course of things. It is a hugely traumatic thing to be an intern or ComServe doctor in fucking public practice today. Well, ComServe will always be public practice. And to now act like there's suddenly a crisis is complete bullshit. Public healthcare has been a shit show of mismanagement and criminal incompetence and ineptitude since long before COVID got to our shores. And now this whole like disingenuous nonsense about how the healthcare system is falling apart. Listen, I used to go to public hospitals to visit my wife when she was still my girlfriend, fiance, and there are people lying in the hallways because there's no room for them. There are no beds for them. There are people giving birth in cars and parking lots. There's all sorts of horrible stories. that have been with us for years. None of this shit's new. To now act like it suddenly is just bullshit. Sorry. Like, don't come with your crying cuck to me. This is not new. This is the exact same thing that happens when the ANC runs a healthcare system. Jammer om van julle kak te hoor. Fuck off. Ek wil my booze hê, ek wil my tabak terug hê. Ek wil oor provinsiale grense kan ry. I'm tired of you telling me how to live my life, and I will put you up against the wall and have you shot if I ever become dictator for life. I swear to God. That's me.
Maryke, I don't know if you want to say anything.
It's better than a bad democracy.
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it?
well, we've got a very fucking bad democracy, haven't we? But you know, this entire thing is kind of, now we're upside down and back again. Okay, so this entire thing is kind of indicative of this fiasco that we're in, right? You know, the whole, oh wow, we must close down everything because a few people are scared of, you know that. They're having this little waving hand panic fest. I'm trying really hard not to be too inappropriate because Maryke's mom. But anyway.
I'm also trying to be a nice man. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I'm very sure it would be. Okay. So, you know, this comes back to the entire concept of the COVID stats and how they're being used, and whichever way you slice the COVID stats, right? What is our death rate relative to our overall infection rates? Now, our overall infection rate is not what we currently have. Let's remember, because every day we open the media, we have 300,000 deaths. Oh, bullshit. There goes the cap. We've recovered like 52% of them already.
And I'm the drunk one here. You both are sober. This is criminal. Like, seriously. I know. My camera's the only one that's stable.
We have 4,660 some odd deaths that have happened since this event started. The event started on the 1st of March, right? It was when the index patient returned to South Africa. Maryke, jy moet stil sit.
Sorry, ek was okay. Ons gaan na huis toe.
Okay.
Hang on.
Our death rate right now is at 1.4% of the total infection. Right, so since the 1st of March, the death toll is less than 3% of South Africa's normal daily death toll. But all of these are still being thrown at us, and the Karen/Biancas of the world are not only too busy saying that, well, if you have an opinion that's against the government, you can't be a black person, but they're also saying, you know what, if any death happens, it's a scary thing and we should shut the country down. News fucking flash, Bianca Karen. People die. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Gideon's probably going to die when he pisses off his wife. But it happens. Get used to it. Let's stop fucking being worried about.
She's been quite merciful to me so far, like horrendously so, unless she's just holding back and planning to kill me horribly.
Have you got the safe word playing on loop?
No.
But anyway, what is it? Pineapple. But coming back to I guessed right, did I? Okay.
Yeah, my whiskey went down the wrong tube. Hang on a sec. You guys carry on. Hang on.
That's a very long phrase for a safe word. But this whole emotive, nonsensical buy-in that everyone has to have. Just look at things dispassionately. Realize that, you know what, this situation is so overhyped, so overwhelmingly overhyped. Anyway.
Yeah,
Ruth loves the glasses.
Yeah, but Maryke's on their show tomorrow.
Yes, I will be there tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, I think. Just
on
after
the talking, 8. On the Talking Sirens, guys. Go find them on YouTube.
Yeah, they Google Smith porn on that show.
And then
they share their screen.
I think Maryke just lost her company Wi-Fi, but she'll probably be back with us. We'll drive Maryke home, and then she can finally have a whiskey with us.
Okay, cool.
She's lucky. Yeah, you can't drink at all because you still have to work today, don't you?
I still have to work, yes.
Yeah, that sucks. Actually, no.
That sucks having a job.
When is Maryke getting her own show? Well, we'll tell her when she's back with us to start her own show, because clearly all the viewers are here for Maryke, not for us. Well, I don't blame them.
Clearly.
To be honest.
I don't know. Does she have something going on fans only or something? You should ask Beth. Beth knows.
Beth will know.
Beth knows the fans only. That's her world there.
We've lost Maryke, but she'll come back. We'll have her in a moment.
Will we?
There
now?
Was something.
You being very.
There was something I wanted to add to this conversation. Apart from 10mm autos and Cape Independence and health statistics, there was something else that pissed me off. Oh, wonderful thing that's happening. News 24 is putting themselves behind a paywall. Isn't that just like the trash taking themselves out in August? It's brilliant.
It's so awesome. You know that they're just going to go bankrupt quicker when they do that.
They're going to go completely. I can't wait. Hang on, before we carry on down that line, let me just phone Maryke while we're streaming, because then I can just tell her she needs to join us and have a whiskey with us before we shut down the stream.
Yes.
Since we've got a fair amount of time, when do you have to work, Bryan?
5
Hallo,
o'clock.
as jy by die huis aankom, nee, dis fyn. Wanneer jy by die huis kom, drink saam met ons 'n whisky. Ons hou die stream aan die gang vir jou. The audience wants you. They want you to have your own show.
On only fans or fans only.
Okay, cool. Nee, dis reg. Ons wag vir jou. Okay, cool. Bye. All right, no, everything is under control.
So,
yes.
So does this mean now that Adrian Besson is going to be the new editor and sales chief of The Big Issue?
Well, between him and who's that other that Peter Oak, just like we've lost so many viewers since Maryke left. Holy shit, they just like tanked. We lost like 20 people. Okay, now a bunch have come back now, but I mean,
yes, Miss Mensa, you're some fucking disloyal.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely like okay, but she makes the show, so we lost so many viewers.
Dad is watching. Oh.
Behave, guys, because the entire family shoots, and apparently at silhouette shooting, they don't even need to see you in good lighting; they'll nail you. Who's now? Hallo Gideon en die persoon wat Maryke se ma ontstel.
Nou is dit die pa, so.
Hang on, Chris is asking. Chris is a possible new gun owner. If I do full competency handgun, shotgun, machine rifle, and rifle, can I keep using that to renew my? It doesn't. Yeah, and machine carbine. Don't even ask where that comes from, dude. That's a long story.
I think I know. We were going to talk about this the other time on the very first one, and then we both got too drunk and we forgot. So you know where I think. By
the way, they're not valid for life. They renew with your license. But you carry on. Okay. Where does hunt?
So this is. You could have always answered him after I told you my witty tale. Right?
I was going to forget. So, my brain doesn't work that way.
That face who from the police who wrote the FCA. What was that idiot's name? Botman. Okay. So
yes.
This is what I think.
Maryke's back. Hang on. Stand by.
Good.
There we go.
Hello. I'm fucking back.
Yeah, you're back. We have to maintain the ratio, Bryan.
Okay.
Maryke, we lost so many viewers when you left.
Take out your wallet. You got to take out your wallet, and then you got to put the indicators on, and you got to kiss your wallet, and you got to say, "Good bless. Don't know one up."
What?
Or something like that.
No, just do it. Don't ask questions. Kiss your wallet and go.
And kiss your wallet.
Yeah.
Yes.
But put your indicator on. We need to hear it click. We need to hear it click in the background. This is. We will send you the reason why you're doing this. Yes, we need to hear your indicator click in the background.
Jy moet klik, flikker, sit in 'n flikker.
There we go.
Yes.
Color!
There we go.
Oh, you want the truth, the light, and the color away. You just channeled Ibn Abulnik's shithead, whatever. Okay. So coming back to HMK.
Bryan was talking about where the term hunt machine carbine comes from.
I think it came from.
Yeah. Well, where you know it came from. Sorry, carry on.
No, I think I have a strong suspicion. So the police, they used to have this this ripoff of the Walter, right? You know that Walter 9mm carbine, right? Which was called the HMK. And I personally think that when the police put this onto their inventories, they didn't quite know what the HMK from Walter stood for. So they translated it, right? Some idiot in the logistics department translated it to Hunt Machine Carbine. And through utter bureaucratic inertia, the term has remained. And, you know, the police instructors in the musketry department at the college, right, had probably, you know, foisted out this term Hunt Machine Carbine because, listen up, those fucking brain surgeons get shit out of fucking their asses on a daily basis. But so they probably had this, and then Botman, when he was writing the act, probably thought, well, that's what you call a carbine, or that's what you... I can just see how that happened, okay? Because it's a completely made-up, freaking nonsensical term, and the police love doing shit like that. I mean, their bureaucratic
Well,
inertia,
you were in them, you would know.
Their bureaucratic inertia was so strong. When Lazelle was doing the inventory stock takes, and they do a comparative form, right? In 2017, they still had on that fucking inventory a code, right, for what they term a native constable assegai. They still had that. This is how fucking wrapped up in their own bureaucracy they are. But let's go back to the stupidity that the instructors at the police college can pull out their ass. I heard, and I shit you not, that the R5 was such a deadly weapon because the round started tumbling as soon as it left the barrel. Right? It would literally come out like it was coming out of a fucking muzzle-loading cannon out there and suddenly starts tumbling. And not only did I hear this. No, wait, let me finish. There's more stupidity to come.
I was about to say, how bad were these barrels in the police armory that was the case? Were they completely smooth or...
Here's the other one, right, is that during the border war, right, and this was a police instructor down at the continuation training, so the in-service training part down in the Cape, and this was just a few years ago, during the maintenance shoots, that you must hold the R5 by the magazine, right, because during the border war, the barrel got so hot that it would melt the handguard.
No.
Yeah, that level of fucking stupidity. But it's best illustrated like this. So when my wife did her maintenance shoot, she shoots incredibly well, far better than I can, by an order of magnitude. Okay, and she shot a really tight grouping, a whole bunch with both the 9mm and the R5 that created a fairly large hole in the center of the target. I shit you not, they wanted to fail her because they could not count the individual bullet holes in the target for her competency. I shit you not. That is the level of stupidity that the firearms community and the police pull out of their asses every day. Here she goes again.
No, she said this is going to happen as she drives. The connection will cut out and come back. So Maryke's back now, you see. So
yes,
this is
yes, I'm back. I'm on the MTN one now.
She's not keeping an indicator.
So this is what. So just to quickly answer Kevin's thing, where do we stand with the fight for licensed individual registered weapons? Stuff is happening behind the scenes, and there will hopefully be a public campaign for it very soon, but not from us, from Dear South Africa. Okay, so stuff's happening. It's exciting. I'd like to tell you more, but for now, just watch the space. And we haven't been sitting on our bums doing nothing. Incredibly good work has been done by guys like Jonathan Wright and Martin van Staden in the background. And if they're watching, shout out to you. Fine.
I don't think Martin watches us.
No, he might. And
Jono does, but I don't know if
I hope Jono does. But you guys are fantastic. And what did our good friend Stefan say? Barrels as bad as the Z88 barrels that were apparently built to only take 2,000 rounds. As this is how many rounds the average.
No, that's a little bit of a bullshit story, Stefan. Right?
I think that's what Stefan means. It's
yeah. No, I mean, listen. That's another
bullshit story.
the basic qualification shoots over 1,000 rounds anyway. So, nah, that part is a bullshit. Yeah. So listen. I mean, Keith was saying that he was also told not to shoot a tight group when he did. And I'm assuming, Keith, that you're talking about your civilian competency. Okay. And I know why. That's hangover from the freaking police. Right, they probably told the instructors, but then let's also be fair, right? I know some of the fucking instructors. I won't name the PFTC, but they're not fucking rocket scientists there either.
No, there was, and the problem is, and you know, since we answered to nobody and since we're independent, I understand to a degree why the PFTC think they're doing a good job, but ultimately, guys, you're not. There should be no monopolization of training material at all, ever. That doesn't make any sense. The fact is, you gotta. There you go. Sorry, Stefan says being sarcastic. Stefan has been very sarcastic.
I'm not drunk at your level yet, but okay, sure.
But listen, I'm too drunk for this discussion. Can we? Let's tell you what. Let's tear into the PFTC issue on the next Whisky Friday. Let's make that a theme. And if anyone else wants to add some themes, because Maryke is going to add themes and Bryan's going to add themes, I'd like to do a PFTC theme because monopolies are bad, but that's how things work in South Africa is we love our monopoly and then we wonder why shit doesn't work. Well, there's your reason. State-sanctioned monopolies don't work. Imagine if the government made your alcohol. Imagine if we had a government brewery or a government distillery.
So they do for like the hard liquor and stuff in places like North Carolina and all of that, right? It's all state sold, right? Thank fuck that's not the case here.
Yeah, I was about to say, because
can you imagine a wet dream you'd give Becky Kelly every day. Sorry, if you could give him control over selling that sort of stuff.
Well, here's a major issue, right? I've never heard of a quality spirit from North Carolina. Kind of explains it, doesn't it?
They've got some good moonshine there.
Yeah, right? I'm pretty sure. But moonshine, that's again private sector. Like
that is true.
You see,
that is true. That is the ultimate. And if anyone knows of any good moonshine brewers down here in the Western Cape, let me know. I will be awesomely glad to patronize them during this bullshittery foisted on us by Cyril the Squirrel.
Yeah, you know what? If ever there was a case for a revolution, they take your tobacco, you do nothing. They take your alcohol, you do nothing. Come on, guys, do something. Do a boogaloo, do a big luau.
Yeah, no, we're leaving it all to the tax,
Seriously.
And they won. The tax
we should do something like a Boston Tea Party, where actually that was sad when SAB had to do it. But what if we threw all the alcohol into the Vaal River?
Yes,
it
the
would
Vaal
improve
River.
the Vaal River.
Or the Orange River, or the ocean. No, just not the bottles, just the alcohol. Pour it out. If the government doesn't want those taxes, they're not getting those taxes.
Well, yeah. Here's the cool thing. Sorry, I forgot about this. I wanted to tell everyone why the Medical Research Council are a bunch of idiots. Okay, so these are academics and doctors. And I said to my missus the other day, they clearly don't teach critical thinking in med school. And she was like, no, they don't. There's no time to teach critical thinking. I'm like, well, it fucking shows. The problem with... Or maths. So they're going on about how wonderful it is that we're saving 1.3 billion rand on medical expenditure because of 8 weeks of alcohol ban. Then someone went and did the mathematics and said, listen, in the same 8-week period, we're losing 3.4 billion rand in tax revenue. That could have been, so it's a net loss of 2.1 billion rand that could just have been plowed directly into state healthcare, but now doesn't exist because that revenue isn't generated. In fact, it might be generated. You know where it's generated? In the black market, which, like being a good black market, doesn't pay taxes. So ultimately, what they've done is they've screwed themselves out of 2.1 billion rand, and the Medical Research Council is trying to find an angle into making that a good news story. God, they're stupid. They're either stupid or captured. I don't know which is which.
Maryke running over? Because I
don't
can
know, a whole
just see
bunch
her
of
bouncing up and down, and then whoop, whoop, whoop.
No, that's it's rumble strips.
Okay, no
It's
people.
rumble strips for.
Oh, is that what you're calling policemen these
the
days?
new
Go,
mind.
girl. Black markets matter. They do. They do.
I like how this. You cut out at the best time, Maryke, at the best possible time. We need to be chucking
someone
the
is telling me,
ANC.
I think the dodgy idealist is telling me about a good brewer here in the Western Cape. Sliv the Shiv
does he
brews
say?
beer. Well, Sliv, I hope you're close.
What does the man say?
I know, it's the dodgy idealist.
The dodgy
Yes,
idealist. We need to talk to the dodgy idealist about
And his brother-in-law.
about his brother-in-law. And I like Rick's idea of putting the government in the sea with concrete boots.
Rick's my man.
That's
Yep, I agree.
That's the best Boston Tea Party idea I think I've ever heard.
Yes, absolutely. But is the ANC actually going to be able to afford to function in a little bit?
Well, they can't pay their staff salaries. Have you seen that thing? The Thule House had to send them letters that say they can't afford to pay salaries this month because they don't have sufficient income.
Good.
And
I hope that continues. I really do.
But to give you some insight into how these people operate, so being a former Mango employee, we've lost Maryke temporarily, but she's back. So
I'm back. Sorry.
So they're paying the pilots about 5,600 Rand a month, okay, which is just over minimum wage, I suppose, for being employed at all, because they don't have any money to pay them any more than that. There is no plan to get Mango profitable, but they're told from Treasury they're not allowed to privatize, they're not allowed to liquidate, they're not allowed to go into business rescue. So I'm like, okay, so as long as all the employees are willing to work for free, it can, and as long as all the creditors are just willing to not take any money for what they give the airline, this can carry on indefinitely. And that's kind of how government works. Like, oh, we're in the wonderful unicorn pixie dust sort of area where you just carry on forever on other people's money.
Oh, it's not other people's money, though. That's what pisses me off. It's my fucking money. It's your money.
It's your money.
Our money.
Yeah, you as an employee are subsidizing other creditors and the government, and as a taxpayer.
Yes. Right.
Okay, so South African Airlines gets a bailout, but Mango is not allowed to save itself.
No, but remember, Mango, not we anymore. Mango is owned by SAA fully, so it's technically a subsidiary / asset, but it's so criminally mismanaged. You know what? Just save yourself the hassle and buy your tickets on a real airline like Fly Safair.
Yeah,
there you go.
Fly Safair.
Just Fly Safair.
Fly Safair are awesome. And you know what they don't do? They don't say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Stand by for blast off.
I remember. Bryan, you're going to have to tell the audience that story, because I don't think they're getting your joke always. But Bryan hates SAA.
I don't think they get a lot of my jokes.
We all hate SAA, but Bryan hates SAA more than most people do.
Well, here's why I hate SAA. Is because I flew up, where I was flying up to Johannesburg on one of I was flying back from Johannesburg to Cape Town. It was late in the afternoon. Sun was kind of setting there at OR Tambo. I was sitting down, relaxing, and this dickhead of a pilot does this whole spiel. And you can help me out, right? Because you're used to doing this. Welcome aboard. I don't give a flying fuck who's in the back. I'm going to go from here to there. You're along for the ride, and you can't do shit about it. But he just says it really nicely.
Pretty much.
And then this dickhead decides to go and say the most juvenile thing I've ever heard come out of a pilot's mouth. And let's prefix this by, I know a lot of pilots, including that one over there. They're fairly fucking juvenile. Okay?
You're fairly juvenile.
But to top off all juvenility.
It's a profession. If you don't want to grow up, you do that. You fly airplanes.
There we go. Right? To fucking top off all juvenility, dickhead in the left seat then gets on his intercom and says, stand by for blast off. Fuck you! I'm sitting in the back behind your non-caring ass, flying, no choice. Not that I'm scared of flying or anything, but this is fucking AA, right? And he tells me to stand by for blast off. Well, go fuck yourself. So I put my phone back on because fuck you. If we're going to die in this flaming crate, I'll be the contributor to it. I put my phone back on. Not that I got any reception once we were up at cruising altitude, but at least I felt like I was contributing.
Well, you know, you were contributing. You were contributing to, and here's the thing, okay? And there might be some SAA pilots watching. And if you are,
I don't like you, so I don't think any are.
Yeah, maybe tune out for this next segment because what I'm about to say now is probably not going to make you feel very good. But these guys have been getting super inflated salaries for like a whole bunch of years for an airline that hasn't made a profit in decades. That is unfortunately not world class. Let's be brutally fucking honest with it. And if your points of comparisons are BA for bloody awful and Lufthansa, which is the airline that still hasn't realized concentration camps don't exist anymore. If you're flying for SAA and you're basically living off the taxpayer person in a developing economy, and now you're complaining that it's going to hell, maybe you should get a real fucking job, mate. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there because if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. It's the same thing I say to Tito Mboweni, who's now going after Peter Groenewald because he called for a tax boycott or a tax whatever you call it.
Tax revolt. And Tito lost his shit. I'm like, Tito, fuck you. You know, you just rubber stamp whatever the ANC puts in front of you. You talk a big game and you talk like a major story about how you're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore. And what's the first thing you do when they put something in front of you? You sign it. You sign it like a spineless, ballless little yellow-bellied, lily-livered little wimp that you are. Or he's just a really committed communist. Either way, I don't like him. I think he needs to be like thrown off a fucking bridge. I don't care. And here's the irony. I liked him. I thought he was going to be awesome.
Yeah, you know what? I never liked him, but I thought I got it wrong. For a while, I was like, maybe I was wrong about Tito. Maybe all those horrible things I always thought and said about him was like completely misguided. Then he goes and does something else. I'm like, you know what? No, screw this. I'll just revert to my previous opinion of you. I don't like you. I think you're a dickhead. Yeah, you proved my. Yeah, you're right.
Kind of like my opinion of Becky Clearly when he comes in, oh yes, things are going to change. Our general is here. No, he's not. He's only there to bend you over the bed and fuck you dry. That's what he's there for.
But whose general is he? Is he their general?
Say bye for your meeting.
Hi guys, I'm gonna lose connection again in 30 seconds, but I'll be back in like 2 minutes or so.
Cool. We'll wait for you. With Whisky.
Yes. Don't leave.
I am going to go and visit Sliv the Shiv.
But you can keep on talking until I'm gone.
What does Sliv say?
Learn
a code.
Sliv brews beer, and he doesn't live far from me. Sliv, ek ga uitsteek, bro. That's a terrible fucking accent. Maar ek gaan kom. Okay.
So while we're here, before the shit hit the fan, this is Baines, Mountain single grain Cape Mountain whiskey that my grandmother, who's 91 years old, bought me before Bekicele. Well, not Bekicele, before Cyril Rama fuckfaced and it was Cyril. Put us back into this prohibitionist hell that he thinks actually works. And listen, guys, comment section, you're being very civilized and you're being very quiet. Yes. Come on, like, give us a little bit, like, give us
him. Just
don't come on me, but give us a little bit of Peter's juice. Peter's like, yes, this man is saying what I like to see, as does the dodgy idealist, as does Sliv. Like Sliv always says, and Alan always talks like shoots from the hip.
So we need to go and visit Sliv, and we need to go and visit the dodgy idealist. But that's a drive, though. It's an Oudtshoorn. I don't mind going to Oudtshoorn.
I don't mind driving. I've got a Subaru. It needs to stretch its legs. Absolutely.
For good Witblitz. I'll travel a distance. Right?
Hey, Garden Boy's here.
Mr.
Nick?
Gardner.
Gardner.
Good man. Have you cut my roses?
And Eugene
Anybody
puts
needs a good gardener? Next to the man.
First impressions are more than often correct. And again, as soon as Maryke's stream cuts out, we lose like 10 viewers. It's like, we don't matter, Bryan. Like, we really don't.
I just want to tell these people that she's not doing this naked. Why are you just leaving? She's going to be back just now.
This is the thing. Maryke has all the appeal fully clothed. In fact, the more clothes she has on, the more people care about her opinion. In fact, if she puts her glasses on, it spikes.
I get naked.
So I'm going to put your glasses on, Bryan.
Why must I put my glasses on?
That'll bring the viewers, according to this. Hang on. Where's now the comments went all over the show. Everyone is maybe just apoplectic over the individuals in question. That's a fair comment, Stefan. By the way, Stefan, if you want to go back to work, you just want grandma to die. You're selfish and you are infringing on the rights of other people by invoking your right to work.
You want Gideon's grandmother to die, and she bought nice whiskey.
And she brought nice whiskey.
Yes.
So here's the interesting thing about the right to work thing, because people don't seem to understand how right to work that works. Right to work doesn't mean you have the right to demand employment. Right to work means that if you can be productive, nobody has the right to withhold you from engaging in productive activity to earn money. Which, to me, okay, that's in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That's kind of a human right I can get behind, because it means, hey, no one has the right to impede me from being productive to earn my keep. That's a pretty fair right. It doesn't mean anyone else owes me shit.
So hang on. So that's Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Is that also not a component of a whole bunch of treaties? And
it is. Right to work is indeed a component of a whole bunch of
that South Africa is a signatory to, right?
Yeah.
So technically, by denying us this universal human right, okay, they are in breach, and I know they definitely are in terms of some of the American laws with expropriation without compensation, right? Because that's a condition of a whole bunch of treaties that we have with them. But the whole the right of the human rights component, that's another key element to this. In fact, Martin, now it's a pity that he's not on the show, he's not in the audience. And Jonathan, if you're there, put down the whiskey and answer a few things, because you'd best to answer this. I want everything to die.
Everyone to die.
I want.
That's Stefan. That is best.
Clearly, the man is on the cheap stuff. Okay. There we go. The right to work for a fair salary is slavery. Right?
Exactly.
Because then that's an obligation to work for a single person without getting rewarded for it. Or a person having ownership of you. So the opposite to the right to work is slavery. And I thought that we'd all established that shit was bad. The whole slavery thing.
I was like, no.
There we go.
Sorry, there we go. Sorry, Maryke was back forever, and I think we were ranting so hard about the right to work. I didn't notice her pop back in. Actually, namaste.
Wow, is work more important than your third member?
Well, I think there are a lot of things more important than the third member, but not you.
Now the viewership can pick up again because Maryke's back. Maryke's back, all you fanboys. Like, seriously, you need to start an OnlyFans channel, Maryke, because I think 90% of the people watching are only here for you. Like, Bryan and I don't really matter. We can just shut up.
No, that's fine. We're all, sharing is caring and free love for all. So, what's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine.
So Sliv is very confused by the fact that we have 3 members. Yes, Sliv, we all, Gideon and myself, grew up in Chernobyl, right? We were actually stolen at birth by gypsies, and they dropped us off in Chernobyl, right? That's why we have 3 members.
Yeah, and I've got 3 belly buttons too, which is more than the usual 2. There's usually 2, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He's not really unemployed. He's actually
unemployable.
A porn star. He just doesn't like to share it.
Listen, the male porn stars work the hardest for the least amount of money, and it's awful. Don't ever do that, kids. The ISIS is in Mozambique. Yeah, stay in school. ISIS is in Mozambique, but I'm waiting for the nice shooting fight to happen between them and the SANDF, because I've got my money on ISIS to win that one.
ISIS are going to win.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that's a pretty safe bet. Again, because I really honestly think that half of the people of Mozambique are going to be joining ISIS and say, we don't want those tyrannical fuckers in here. They're going to take away our booze, they're going to rape our women, and they're going to take our cigarettes. Fuck off, SANDF.
Well, think about it this way, right? ISIS, apart from being horrible, reprehensible people traffickers that they are, they have no issue with guns. I think. Oh, hello, yes, terug. They, I think they've got an okay attitude towards guns. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to ask them. They seem to be okay with smokes, but by default, they won't be okay with booze, which would be a problem for me.
Well, and they're not okay with guns. No, they're not okay, right? No. Look what they did in Iraq and places like that.
No, they're fucking awful.
They are not okay with. They're not okay with our idea of guns representing freedom.
No, they're not actually okay with the idea.
They don't want anyone else to have.
They're not okay with freedom at all. But the major problem is our government is not okay with freedom either right now. And I think that's the big fuck up. Is that?
Well, that is. Our government is ISIS.
Yeah.
They're
just less committed to. Well, actually, no. They're committed to an ideology. The ideology is Marxism. Then they're not committed to a religious one, but they are certainly ideological.
Well, they are committed to their religion is theft and corruption.
Yeah.
They're very committed to that.
Well, Jacob Zuma was at least honest about it. I mean, he was our last honest president.
Yes,
and apparently,
he was a better president than Cyril.
I said he only cared about three things. I said Jacob Zuma only cared about drinking, fucking, and stealing. And apparently he doesn't drink, so I got that wrong. So he only cared about two things, which means he was a bit... no, apparently he didn't. Apparently Zuma doesn't drink. Apparently.
What was he born with fetal alcohol syndrome or something?
Well,
what made him the man that he was?
He's a busy man. He's all about the Beppa and the stealing. So, I mean, did he have time to drink in his busy schedule?
Okay.
But he obviously smoked. Thought he did. You must have. Show me a good Zulu man that doesn't smoke.
So Sliv said Jacob doesn't drink.
Yeah.
And Sliv, I'm going to have to take your authority on that one, mate. Putin also doesn't drink. Yes, but Putin's in a different league, right? Putin doesn't need to drink.
No.
Right? He can have water, and he goes, turn to alcohol, and it does.
I just got cake. I got cake brought to me.
So we'll be too scared to argue with that.
Let them eat cake.
Oh, well, in Russia, Russia has listed beer as cool drink or something. Anything less than 10% alcohol is not actually alcohol.
Our Clark girl in the car is not coming through very clear. You got to put the indicator on if you want us to hear you.
Hoor jy, moet die flikker aan sit.
Yes.
Okay. I'm almost home. I'm 2 minutes and I'm home.
Okay, so
2 minutes.
And Becky was huge on his single malt whiskies. That is very, very true. Yes.
Would he put sand in your car's petrol tank?
You don't drink in Russia. Russia drinks you. Yeah. Say again?
No, the Yukov dog asks me whether I would put sand in my car's petrol tank. Like, no. But you need to add context because it's a good question because it's very clearly stated. But who would?
Sit context by.
Ons got context. I'm eating cake and drinking whiskey. Maryke's driving.
It's a court context.
And Bryan hasn't taken his pills. This is where we are on Whiskey Friday. This is the most dysfunctional episode.
I don't know. I think we've had a lot of good sense come out of it.
Don't shoot tight groups.
Smoking na yope.
Wait a second. You're an ex-cop. Explain this to me, and we've got a whole bunch of people watching us. Maryke thinks it's funny.
I can by die huis kom.
Well, okay, no, this is a...
Ja, jy's reg, jy moet. Maar as jy regtig waar wil, is daar seker 'n aftrekplek langs die pad.
We're literally only keeping...
I hope there's no Dutch people listening right now.
The only
Maryke,
reason
you're on the Pirates channel, not on the Pornhub one.
As I was saying, the only reason we're still keeping the stream alive is to get Maryke home so she can at least have a whiskey with us.
Well, I'm not driving. My Lyft is driving, and he's refusing to drop me off at my house.
Oh, that's awesome. He's got a good Lyft. Put him on the stream. Put him on the stream.
Stop eating whilst you're talking to people.
I'm sorry.
It's very rude.
Is there Maryke's Lyft?
Everyone
wave at Maryke's Lyft.
Hello.
Does the Lyft have a name?
Listen.
Name is Yaku.
Okay, almost hello for Yaku.
Signal. Hello, Yaku. Listen, they're not being very good listeners to Cyril because their windows are all closed and they're not wearing their masks. What's up with that?
Wait a second.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, no. Yukov Dorcas being Puritan on us. Drinking alcohol is like putting sand in your car's petrol tank. Elbow cough.
Okay. No. Off my car.
Listen, this is what peak performance looks like, Mr. Duke of York. Duke of York.
Okay.
Almost say hello for Yaku. Almost say hello for Yaku. Lift name is Lift. Hello, Yaku.
Almost say bye for Yakus.
Almost say bye for Yaku.
Ons moet mooi praat. Wie sê dit?
There we go.
Okay. So you wanted to ask. I'm an ex-cop and...
So you're an ex-cop. What is Nyope?
Seriously.
Nyope is the thing that they smoke.
I don't know.
It's a drug.
No, I know it's a drug, but what is it?
It's a drug.
But like what?
What type is it? I don't know.
Oh. Okay, so I'm not the only person that doesn't know this.
To be honest, when I was working, it was Mandrax and crystal meth and
the classy
cannabis
stuff.
And all of the old school stuff, LSD, psilocybin, cocaine, that sort of stuff.
So, here we go.
It's leftover heroin and ARVs. I laugh.
Okay,
it might well be that. Who knows?
No, I'm pretty sure it's exactly that. There was a whole joke about what was LSD, and this is.
Oh, so it's kind of like, sorry, Ronan. It's kind of like what bazooka is to cocaine.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah. So are we talking flacker?
Flacker. Okay. No, I think flacker is something different, though, isn't it? Flacker, I think, is an hallucinogenic.
But they do steal people's ARVs to make it. And I remember that when I was at some point in Afrikaans colloquial expression, LSD was known as lekker skooldochters. But obviously, is that safe to say on my own stream? I don't know.
You're just giving away your age.
Yeah, I am definitely giving away my age. Listen, since we're on the horrible pedophilic references, they say, what is the cool thing about schoolgirls? I get older and they stay the same age. And on that bombshell...
On that bombshell, Epstein did not kill himself.
Epstein did not kill himself. Hang on, Wiki. Black tar heroin mixed with other substances. Okay, so that's according to... Okay, and Sliv also says, okay, this is really educational. I really like our stream.
Other substances is kind of broad, but black tar heroin is pretty potent.
It's Booplas 1880. Nice. Okay, Maryke's bringing up the good stuff.
It tastes very good.
Yeah.
It's not Nyope.
Let me just put down my phone because I can't open this thing with one hand.
That's fine.
I'm just gonna try not to laugh at that.
Say, everybody, ice come and she can only do it with one hand. Oh, dear Lord. We have
no, she can't. She needs both.
I said I can't open it with one hand.
That's not making it better. You know, there are some times when an explanation just does not do what you want it to do. Okay.
Okay. So.
But Maryke, what you have to do now is holding true to last week. Is you've got to gargle.
Did she gargle last week?
No, but she's claimed she does.
Okay.
Why do I gargle? I don't love you.
You don't spit or swallow, you gargle.
No, but she just
The
said
whiskey,
she doesn't
not
love
me.
us.
But she loves the whiskey.
Why would I mess with whiskey like that? Whiskey should be respected.
Okay, so
You
you're
see,
not
guys?
going to spit then. So swallow it is. Okay.
Okay, so on this bombshell, I'm going to pour a little bit, so I can have a whiskey with Maryke, and then we can wind this show down a bit. Because
This is a
Bryan needs
nice
to get back
whiskey.
to work. Cheers,
I
Maryke.
do.
Let's see if we can
Cheers.
coordinate. Ching ching. There we go. Okay, and Ronan gives us its synthetic cut. So there we go. Though that's what Flacker is, though. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In this, that. So, did any of you have anything else you wanted to talk about today? Because I need to go start a fire now to burn.
We were gonna talk about the benefits of strength training for stress management, but we can do that. We can do that some other time. That's a very interesting topic.
Oh well, we've got some time. Maryke needs to put a dent in her whiskey, so. David says so a full glass.
I don't have that much. I've got a.
Dis 'n klein glas. Dis 'n baie klein glas. Hy's klein. Hy's kleiner as 'n gewone glas.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, so coming, Greg is awesome. Greg, you're on my Christmas card list.
Yeah, he definitely is. As is Linda, as is everybody.
Yeah.
L'chaim and others.
But just go back to the subsidizing beer. I just want to share with you that beer is a soft drink in Russia, a legit soft drink, right?
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. Okay. So
strength training. Let's end with an educational.
As a benefit for self-defense, right? And not just by being strong. So here is the hypothesis, or the standpoint I'd like to adopt. I'm sorry, I'm still talking. Yay! Anyway, so coming back to this. So one of my hobbies is powerlifting. Okay. And one of the things that people don't sort of realize is that when you lift heavy weights, I'm not talking about, let me just put heavy weight relative to what your strength is. When you lift heavy weight, and especially when you're doing it in really big compound exercises like squats or overhead lifts and deadlifts and things like that, you produce in your body a really profound hormonal response. Okay, you have fatigue, you have adrenaline, you have all of those stress hormones, right? That you counteract. I know fatigue is not a hormone, but that's a response that you're generating. Okay, now when you're doing this very, very regularly, you are doing what any other training process or program is. So whether you're doing draws or you're working on combatives or you are doing something in a repetitive fashion to create neural pathways, right? Yes. Because there's no such thing as muscle memory. It's neural pathways that you're creating.
Thank you.
You're generating a brain response and a nerve response, right?
Yes.
What you are doing by lifting heavy weights is generating a response or the ability to manage a stress response better.
Yes.
So for all of those people who believe that the gun and maybe the boxing or the MMA bit is all you need to train yourself adequately, I'd really encourage you, start finding out a little bit more about powerlifting and weightlifting, not fucking CrossFit. Okay? Powerlifting. Things like that, to see how that can enhance your ability to manage not just that critical incident, I'm being attacked and I need to deal with it, but your stress levels in general, be it at work, be it with your children, be it, with your children at work or your work colleagues who act like children or any one of those combinations. Lifting heavy weights is a really good thing. Discuss. You're not going to agree with me.
It strengthens your bones. So as you get older, your chances of getting brittle bones decreases. And
Yeah.
also,
This is a fact.
as you get older, it's important to keep your muscles in condition. Otherwise, you get stiff hips and stiff
No, but
back
not just in condition. Strong.
Yeah.
Right. That's my thing. I'm not talking about doing I'm talking about doing actual strength exercises. So, from my point of view, is certainly when I'm training relatively hard, I like to lift heavy at least twice a week.
Yeah.
Okay. And heavy is a relative thing, right? Heavy for me is different from heavy for Maryke or heavy for Gideon or heavy for anyone else. Okay. Bryan, go work. Okay. But no, forget about sorry, the brew is going on about techniques and all of that. I'm not disregarding that. I'm not saying do one to the exclusion of the other. But if you have X amount of time, let's say you have 2 hours a day to train, spend at least 50% of that on developing strength, and then you can split technique focused stuff and cardio into the other hour. That's what I am saying. Okay, that's going to benefit you overall better than just going to box. And I teach boxing, right? So I'm not dissing boxing. I love boxing. I love combatives. I really love combatives. Okay, I'm not saying don't do that, but what I am saying is go and train your strength to give you maximum benefit.
Yeah. So
punching a bag does help.
At one stage of my life, I did both powerlifting and CrossFit. I can't do either at the moment. The powerlifting was definitely more beneficial, in my opinion. Even for someone like me who's got quite a small frame. I'm not a natural powerlifter at all, by any stretch of the imagination. But the strength training element had huge benefits. I've now gotten back into full contact karate for the first time in 16 years. That's a long hiatus. In fact, my break between leaving karate and coming back to it is it's almost longer than some of the first Dan guys at the dojo have been alive. That's the sad part of it. But I'm not struggling with the technique orientated stuff because the strength training background made a huge difference there. If you're strong, you just have an easier time than someone who isn't. It's
Sorry, do you mind just bringing up Keith Osler's comment? Right, he asked a question. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. No. And what you're saying is 100% true. Maryke, do you want to say anything before I answer this?
No, fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So Keith, what I'll tend to do is I like doing the compound lift. So I do get a little bit naughty. So I try doing them at the beginning of my session, and then I use the cardio to kind of leach out the hormonal response. But in the beginning, to answer your question, and then sometimes that does lead me to delaying my other components of the exercise because I get a little caught up into it, especially on a good deadlift day and a good squat day. The squat's my favorite, right? I sometimes get a little carried away there.
Okay, and I think on that bombshell, we've covered strength training. We've covered a whole bunch of stuff I was bitching about. We're an hour and 40 minutes deep.
That's what
guys,
she said.
That's what she said. It's been fun. We all had whiskey except Bryan, and it was actually a very good session. I'm going to go light a fire now. I don't know what you guys are going to do. We all said hello.
Pizza and beer after work for me.
Pizza and beer for you.
My pizza is incoming.
No, it's the eldest's birthday tomorrow, and he had the choice about what we're going to have for dinner tonight. So pizza it is. Cool.
So I'm actually physically seeing Bryan tomorrow. Phone Cyril and complain. And then we're going to do this again next Friday. So, folks, dames en heren en honor, we're going to end it here. The Maryke, Bryan, and myself are going to stay behind studio. If you want to buy us alcohol, Jesus, that was loud. There's the zapper if you've got zapper, but if you're
I don't like your zapper all over my face.
Well, would you like my snap scan all over it instead? Because there's the snap scan code.
That's what Gideon said.
And you can rewind and use that at your leisure. But guys, it's been great. Dankie vir julle almal. Bad signal and don't shoot tight groups. It was nice being here with you today, and we'll do it again next Friday.
Bye-bye, guys.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Cheers, cheers.